Hey, let's start the show.
For Thursday, October 13th, 2016. Welcome to This Is Only a Test, the official podcast of Tested.com. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of This Is Only a Test. We have a full cast this week. We're no longer podcasting from a comfy couch in someone's living room. Back in the office, back full force, and back with a full range of technology news. But I want to introduce my co-host. Next to me is Jeremy Williams.
Hi, Norman.
Hi, Jeremy.
Hi.
And then next to him is Kishore Hari.
Hello. It feels like it's been forever.
Has it? Has it really?
No, it's been probably 2 weeks exactly.
2 weeks for
but
you. Yeah.
I have to say, I read some of the YouTube comments on the last week's show. Some good comments on that couch you have, Jeremy.
Thanks.
There's some interested parties in that. And we should introduce our fourth member of this week's show, the Creepy Fig.
Creepy Fig in the house, in the office. You know,
Is that the same Creepy Fig that was in the video?
it isn't. We actually have two of them. Secrets.
Why did
Spoilers.
you make two? To just haunt your dreams?
Well, Frank wanted to keep one, and we wanted one, so
Why-
the fine people at Mortal Mass were able to pull two castings, and Frank painted two of them up.
For the audio listeners, that's a life-size Lego figurine, but it's creepy like real human skin. It has actual hair for eyebrows.
That's right.
Why do you have plastic around it? Does it have to keep moist?
Do I have to keep it moist?
Yeah.
All the time? No. That was purely for transportation and to not get it damaged or to let anything rub off.
It
on
is one of the weirdest things to touch in the world.
Mm.
When you touch it, it's like kind of soft and squishy
I know
and
what I'm doing.
moist. Oh, no.
Silicone.
Oh, yeah.
Ew.
Yeah.
That's
No.
good.
No. But who knows? Maybe it won't live here forever. But it was in the office. We were doing some things and brought it in. But it does feel like it's been very long since we've seen you last because so much has happened. We've been doing so much traveling. Last week, Jerry and I did a VR podcast, and I don't know if you get the sense, if you guys listened last week's or watched last week's episode, we recorded that podcast at the very end of the day, coming back from Oculus Connect the second day after doing a full day of interviews and demos, after spending 2 hours in traffic. And immediately after recording that podcast, I went to the airport
To fly all the way to New
to
York.
fly to New York for New York Comic Con.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, you could have. It sounded like you were exhausted. Maybe you should have had like a bolt of energy from like somebody like Palmer, who had nothing to do last week, apparently.
Yeah.
Is there any sort of word on what that was all about, why he no-showed? I mean, I fully expect the corporate overlord said no thank you to him being involved this year, but
Well,
was there any sort of...
Yeah, the company line is he chose not to go. It was his own decision.
Yes.
Oh.
He didn't want to be a distraction.
That's right. Jason Rubin talked to Upload VR, and they asked him about it, and Jason Rubin said it's completely Palmer's decision, and I think it's a fine line to play. I'm happy that we got more Mark Zuckerberg on stage. That demo was impressive, but yeah, it was definitely the kind of loud elephant in the room, the unspoken elephant in the room.
Nice. Well, let's hear about what you've been up to the last week. Why don't we dive into some pop culture news to hear about Norm's travel?
Let's do it.
Okay.
So NYCC,
Yeah, New York Comic Con, which is a massive, like we have on the West Coast San Diego Comic Con, running 30 years, hundreds of thousands of people descend onto San Diego every year, spend almost a full week from Wednesday It's a Friday there.
You were saying.
What
Siri.
Why is Siri getting involved?
I don't know why.
Does
she
it
gets
react
involved.
to Comic-Con?
No.
Hey, Comic-Con.
Oh my
I
god.
was trying to mute the computer. Of course, I make her talk.
And on the East Coast, you have New York Comic Con, run by a completely different company. And the difference is in the spelling. San Diego Comic Con is Comic-Con. New York Comic Con is Comic Space
That's
Con.
got to be a mistake, right?
No, these are important differences. But anyway, it is at the Javits Center, a beautiful building. I don't think it's as big as the San Diego Convention Center, but it's more open. There's a huge atrium lobby area with glass all around. It's a beautiful venue, and it's packed also. I think 150,000 people go over the course of the show, and we were there in support of Adam. Adam had a panel.
Oh, how was the panel?
It was great. It was packed. They had to unfortunately turn some people away. Filled the room. Met a lot of Tested fans there. Adam did an incognito cosplay walk, and that video is up already, so you guys should absolutely watch that. He went as my neighbor Totoro.
Very huggable costume.
Extremely.
Huggable.
Like I saw it in the cave and totally gave it a hug.
Yeah.
It is
Oh yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, and then we also shot some videos from the show floor. Some of those are rolling out now. Some old friends have tested, some new friends have tested. Dave Peterson, who's the artist and an illustrator and writer behind Mouse Guard, which we talked about before, he stopped by the booth and he brought his dioramas and scale architectural miniatures that he's made that he uses as reference for drawing.
I thought he was really
comic.
good on camera. I was surprised at how articulate he was and comfortable on camera talking to Adam.
Yeah.
A really good personality.
Oh, totally. Really,
Artists
really
can
nice guy.
talk well.
yeah, but some
Not
people,
all hermits.
they get starstruck or they get nervous about the camera. This guy's really good.
He's great.
Yeah. To tease some of the other interviews that we're going to have up, Adam also chatted with, there's a guy who runs, he builds custom giant steampunk-like mechs. Machination Studio, I think is the name of his company.
Oh yeah, Adam posted a picture on his Instagram of you longing after one of those designs.
You got to watch the video because the reaction is palpable in the video. The mech isn't just a static piece; it animates. It has lights and sounds, and it can be remote controlled. So I was drooling over it. We also had a visit from John Scalzi, author, and maybe
Did
I'm
you
gonna save that for the? Let me take a backtrack. I take 2 steps back. John Hodgman stopped by, and we did.
Wait,
John Hodgman.
Wait.
Was he doing a panel?
Jonathan Hodgman, one of the most favorite comedians out there.
Wow.
PC stopped by, and we had a great conversation with Adam. I went around the show floor, did some interviews with some toy companies, talked about toy development process and high-end collectibles, and then John Scalzi stopped by, did a video with him, and he also joined our podcast. Now, Kishore, I believe you're going to say something.
I was going to investigate if you may have talked to Scalzi about a certain friend of the podcast that's sitting in between us about his thoughts about red shirts.
Yeah, that's right.
I hope you told him I thought it stunk.
No.
I didn't think that though. You thought it was the greatest thing ever. I just thought it was okay. That's all. It's fine. It's a good book. Good book.
I really enjoy that book.
All right.
I enjoyed it so much more than Ready Player One.
Yeah. Well, different strokes.
Oh,
You're starting fights between authors? What's going on here?
No. It's personal
Is
preference.
it because you're such a Star Trek nerd?
That may be it, and that may be one of the reasons that you like Ready Player One so
Exactly,
much
'cause
because you're a classic arcade
Very much.
and video game nerd.
You see this shirt?
I see it.
Like,
It's,
this is
it's
like the
Stranger
coolest
Things
thing
in
ever.
8-bit.
Yeah, it's like drawn in 4 colors, and it's all pixel art. And at the bottom, it says "Press any key to start," like at the video game.
Nice.
Freaking love this stuff.
And I love Star Trek and science fiction TV shows and red shirts. I think we talked a little bit about it with John on the podcast.
Cool.
On Still Untitled. And the convention atmosphere was a perfect place to absorb all of that.
Yeah, I was actually surprised you decided to just record in the exhibit hall. It was kind of an interesting thing. I'll just put in a vote that I love when you have guests on Still Untitled. So I hope more friends stop by like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everyone that we met there, that Adam chatted with, has basically an open invite to visit us. So if they're in town, we'd love to do a longer discussion with them and have them on the podcast.
Did you go to any panels?
Just Adam's panel. I was there for one day for 24 hours. Not even 24 hours. Like I flew in on a red eye, got in 7 a.m., had a colorful Uber driver take me to downtown to Manhattan. I flew into Newark, so it was a long drive.
I'm guessing that means 1 star.
No. This guy got 5 stars. The drive back got 1 star, but I'll get to that in a second. So got in at 7, got to the convention center at 9. We did the incognito walk, did all the video shoots, and then I was out by 6 p.m. getting dinner and then rushing to the airport afterward, and barely made my flight back. So
You don't show any signs of wear or fatigue. I don't understand how you do this. Do you show it at home? Is it private?
No.
It's
Bottled up fatigue.
It's unreal, man.
I did take a very nice nap on the flight back from LA yesterday.
It can't be sustainable.
Okay, so New York Comic Con, it's not like San Diego because movie studios aren't as present there. San Diego, you have huge movie studios debuting trailers, footage, making announcements of casting, revealing things, and it's not just superhero movies, pop culture, things in horror, action adventure films, even kids films. And at New York, you have more of a TV presence. So CW's there, and
Dare to Defy.
That's right. Marvel is there with their Netflix shows, and some of the casts are there, and ABC is there, I believe.
You want to run through some of the announcements from NYCC? So we saw the Defenders.
Yes. So
which is the team up of Luke Cage, Daredevil, and Jessica Jones.
The Netflix
and the
team.
Iron Fist.
That's right. You had the trailer for Iron Fist revealed at New York Comic Con.
You are an Iron Fist
I am
fan.
a huge Iron Fist.
What did you think of the trailer?
I liked it. I liked it a lot. And I also read the recaps from the extra footage they showed from the convention hall.
The Netflix stuff isn't typically very special effects heavy, but this one looks like they have a bigger CG budget.
It's not even that. I think that the Netflix shows have always been, they're not huge on special effects, at least in terms of like magic and things blowing up, but they do a lot of choreography.
Oh,
a lot
totally.
of martial arts.
Absolutely.
And both you have Daredevil and Iron Fist bookending these 4 shows. It's going to be 5 if you include Punisher, but both Daredevil and Iron Fist are huge martial artists in the Marvel Comics, and what they showed with Iron Fist in terms of like the choreography looked really good. Now there are special effects in Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, but more practical effects.
Right.
Yeah, there wasn't much.
The
in Luke
breaking
Cage.
of things, like they're both superhumans.
Iron
super
Fist, his
strong.
fist has to glow a lot.
And
Yes,
that's what I'm saying.
that's
Like
right.
the Daredevil special effects are all done in the editor. You could do them with special effects like filters and shaky camera stuff. It's not CG augmentation like you're seeing in Iron Fist.
Yeah, and I don't know if I think they're just gonna have the idea of his hand glows, and he goes on rampages. They talked about a long hallway fight scene like you had in Daredevil.
Uncut stuff.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. But they also announced the villain for the Defenders, at least the actor playing the villain, and it's gonna be Sigourney Weaver.
Oh, yes.
Sigourney Weaver plays an unnamed, undisclosed villain for the Defenders.
I put in Ripley as the suggested name. I don't think it's going to be taken.
I don't think so either.
Is this a new series? Like a full season length kind of thing?
Yeah.
I think so. I think it's gonna which is really strange because you have Daredevil, which is already season 2's done. I assume we don't know if they're producing season 3 of Daredevil or it's gonna just dovetail into
Right.
because season 2 had plenty of threads that were not closed. You have a new Punisher series, which is a spin-off of Daredevil, which needs to kind of stand on its own also. Jessica Jones, are we getting a season 2 of Jessica Jones before Defenders? I mean, Iron Fist is next year, so there's time for Jessica Jones season 2. I don't know if there's going to be time for Luke Cage season 2. I haven't finished that show yet.
When
So
is Defenders supposed to start or air?
I think they're producing it next year, and it's supposed to be... it's a really good
Looking it up
question.
now.
If it's end of next year, there's not going to be enough time to make
It's
that
sometime
show.
next year. It looks like it's July of next year.
And it's a mini-series.
Oh.
So it's not a full 10-episode series. I think Defenders is a mini series, like 4-episode team up.
So I have questions, which we'll get to some point, because Defenders, because they're pretty powerful group of people, they need a good villain.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, most of the villains in these shows have not been superpowered in any way. They've been fighting like the mob and blah, blah, blah. Different organization structures. Here, I think we need a good villain.
You think Sigourney's going to be a super villain?
I don't know if it's going to be Sigourney or somebody else that will come in as a villain, but they need a good villain. So the name Norm dropped to me before when we were talking about this.
We're in speculation territory now.
I was not terribly excited about. It was, should I go for it?
Yeah.
Was Mephisto, which is a devil type character. Not super excited about that. There's potentially Viper. Yeah, it's a.
I mean, think about the
Shield agent.
The villains that have so far been in these shows in Daredevil. There's a little bit of that, like they're local villains. It's about drugs. It's about gun trafficking. It's things localized to areas of New York City, but with on the fringe level, maybe a supernatural element. When you talk about Madame Gao in Daredevil series, who everyone speculates was going to tie to Iron Fist as the Crane Mother. And I don't think you can have like just throw in a huge supernatural villain. Like these shows feel very grounded.
No, there's one group, the Hand, which has been mentioned, which has strong supernatural ties, which should play prominently in Iron Fist. So I think Sigourney Weaver is going to be like the Beast of the Hand or the Gorgon or something like that.
I don't need my supervillain to have superpowers personally. I thought Fisk was the best thing about Daredevil, and he's just a mafia guy.
I agree, but when you have a team up of them, are they gonna what are they gonna fight?
Whatever.
They need something,
Yeah,
like to level up from who they fought before.
I understand. Yeah.
All right. Just a couple other quick notes about NYCC. There was another panel, and I believe they released a trailer for The Expanse season 2, which I love that show. So I'm super excited about that. I think they did some stuff on Doctor Strange, which is coming out soon.
Yep.
And how that ties into the larger MCU, which I'm excited about. But it wasn't like a heavy-duty news-breaking con like you mentioned.
It's for people to hang out. And like the other big difference between New York Comic Con and San Diego is San Diego feels like a destination for international and big fans. Like people make that week in July and that weekend in July their travel plans. San Diego's a great vacation city. You know, as many people go into San Diego as I think are there, basically, and it changes the entire city to be about Comic-Con. New York, it's just for New York Comic-Con, it's just another convention that New York has. And a lot of the people who attend are locals to the area because it's like, what's going on? New York Comic-Con? All right, take the train in and go to the convention.
Though I will say the one last bit that I saw from New York Comic Con, I don't know if it released or not. Did you see the image of Mera from Justice League?
Oh, Mera.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Zack Snyder's Justice League, which is now being packed. It seems like there's so many characters. There's rumors of Deathstrokes in there. It's laying all these crazy seeds for spin-off movies. You have Aquaman and his wife, Mera, being played by Amber Heard, and a photo of her was released, and it's a great looking costume.
Hey, we have breaking news.
We do?
So I was Googling just like NYCC recap, and the first item that came up was a AV Club post on the Totoro costume.
Oh.
And you're featured in the picture for it.
Oh, great.
It's kind of great.
We're in the backstage area getting ready, putting that costume on.
Norm, you made one of the top searched New York Comic Con recap posts.
Huzzah!
All right, let's barrel through the pop culture so that Jeremy can get back involved in this podcast.
What?
We don't talk about Marvel all day.
Well, I'm just saying we are short on time this week.
All right. You've been watching Luke Cage?
I haven't finished it.
Have you
I thought
started?
we were done. With the
No.
stuff. No, I haven't watched Luke Cage. Should I watch it?
Yes, you should watch Luke Cage. It's not up to par as Daredevil, but the music is amazing.
Oh,
we
interesting.
have to talk about the music, Jeremy.
Okay, cool.
Because I think the music is like in genres that you'll really enjoy. This is some of the best music that I've seen in a TV show.
Crazy.
Danica and Rebecca did a road trip last week while I was in New York to go to LA for a special presentation of the Luke Cage soundtrack played live by an orchestra.
What's so special about the soundtrack?
It's actual band. So one of the key set pieces is this club that one of the villains runs, and he has music acts come play through in this club, and they're different like R&B acts, jazz acts, soul acts, and it's just really well tied into the theme of that episode as well.
Yeah.
And the music is just spectacular.
Sold. I'll watch it.
Yeah, it's live music written into the story, and then also they use music as a way to change the tone of action, so it's not just like serious, gritty action, to make it a little bit more of the era of maybe a little bit of the blaxploitation era, but a little more jazzy, but also like not as serious and gritty. Even though things, it's still gangsters shooting up barbershops.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the two other big sci-fi kind of pop culture items that are dropping this week. We haven't talked about Westworld. Have you seen it, Jeremy?
All right, so I did my homework for
You
watching
did.
Westworld, which is to watch the 1973 Michael Crichton movie,
Oh,
which I'd never done.
nice.
Always wanted to see. It's like early sci-fi. Anything pre-Star Wars is interesting because they didn't know any better. So I couldn't wait to watch it. I had a free night with my 9-year-old son. I said, "Hey, it's PG. Let's watch that." Well, turns out it would have been PG-13 if they had the rating around then. Freaked the hell out of both of us. By the end of the movie, if you haven't seen, have you seen it?
I've seen it, but it's been a forever.
Okay, so it's totally mundane. I mean, it's like a fun like sci-fi western up until like the last half hour when it turns into a horror film. And we were just both screaming our heads off, looking at each other, like laughing. But then, like that, the rest of the night, he did not feel safe.
Oh.
Let's just say.
Well, Westworld 1973 was like the original Terminator story.
Yeah.
We're talking about a killer robot gone
Exactly.
rogue, hunting down these two humans. There's one guy, one protagonist by the end. And, it was also made in the era of like Logan's Run, where it was tried to be like very titillating, but also was like trying to be like this dystopian foreshadowing of the future.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and you can also see it as a precursor to Jurassic Park.
Absolutely, as Michael Crichton both written and directed in the case of Westworld story.
I didn't realize he was such a commodity then that he could direct a film. Interesting.
Yeah.
But now I'm ready to watch the TV series. Can't wait.
Oh, so we can't talk about the TV
I've only
series.
seen episode 1.
So we can't talk about TV.
How
series.
far are you?
It's only 2 episodes have come out so far.
So are
I've
you
seen
current?
both twice.
I got to say that first episode it's really different from the Crichton piece. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really different and is one of the more intriguing HBO premieres in a long time. I'll just leave it there.
Yeah, 6 million people watched it, and well deserved.
Wow.
Because the hype, it lived up to the hype.
I can't tell if it's going to be great or terrible, but that first episode was incredible.
It's the kind of thing that after you, it left with so many questions. So the show that people inevitably compare it to is Game of Thrones as a big blockbuster $100 million TV series on HBO. But Game of Thrones, at least when that premiered, people had a sense of the story and because of the books.
Mm-hmm.
Here, it's what you have as a guiding line is the old movie and the 1973 movie, but so quickly they dispel with those ties and tell you that this is not what you're expecting. I mean, at some point you expect the robots to go rogue, but the way they're telling a story and who the perspectives are, and
Well, we talked about it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
You sympathize with the robots.
absolutely, the robots seem to be the heroes of the story, and at least they're as equal the protagonists as some of the human characters.
I think it's a great angle.
We will come back and talk
We
about
will come
the
back
show
to
a
it.
lot.
I will also give a tease. I was in LA yesterday, and I recorded an episode of Creature Geek with Len and Frank, and we did talk about Westworld quite a bunch. So that will be out, I believe, in a week. That episode.
Nice.
I got
First
my
time
fix.
on that podcast?
Yeah, and I got my Westworld fix because no one else around me has seen the show.
I've seen episode 1. I'm like 2 days behind or whatever, 3 days behind.
No,
Give me a
you're a
break.
week behind because they released episode 2 a couple days early because of the debate.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they released it on last Thursday
Right.
as opposed to Sunday.
Well, we've buried the lead for a while. This morning, a new trailer for a small action film is coming out.
What's it called?
Rouge One.
Rouge One.
Rouge One. Yeah.
Did you watch it? Did everyone here watch it?
Yeah, I did.
Is Joey out of ear
Yes.
ear sight?
Am
That's
I
terrible.
crazy, or is this possibly the best Star Wars movie ever? I mean, this trailer and the,
No, it's
and
not
the last
possible.
one, I think it looks fantastic.
It's not possible.
They're hitting every note right, and I just can't believe that it's going to be as good as the trailer makes it look to be.
Wait. What is your favorite Star Wars movie? What is the best Star Wars movie?
Right, I would say, everyone says Empire, but I think Star Wars Episode 4 is the best. I mean, because it was all original, and
Fair
they hit.
enough.
It was treated like a full arc, and I loved the movie. Then Empire, and then Jedi, and then whatever.
I will say that my favorite growing up was Jedi.
Ugh.
I had the Jedi trash can. I mean, I love Jedi.
It was the right age. I was the right age for it.
Yeah.
For Jedi.
Right. I
And
mean,
I-
I'm older than you, and I love Jedi.
And the space battles in Jedi.
Oh yeah.
Space battles were better
Epic.
looking,
Yeah.
but I'm still left with that stupid song
But
at the end.
no, stop. So for all those original films, everyone in those films, you had the sense that they believed that they were there. So I could suspend my disbelief. Like they did. The problem with the prequels, and even to some extent Episode 7, is you get the sense everyone knows they're in a Star Wars film, and it's almost self-referential. And I have a harder time, suspending my disbelief because I know that Han Solo is making jokes in Episode 7 because he's in a Star Wars film, and it's great for kids, and I get other people love it, but for me, I couldn't get there with those. I couldn't get to that same belief and depth of the first 3, whereas this one, the Rogue One, it just looks to me like all of the actors are just more into it, that they believe that they've taken on that role, and they have gone deep with it, and I can't wait to see this movie.
Well, they had more free reign for the storytellers
Right.
to create an original story. The constraints were really just one sense of an idea. What happened to the rebels who stole the plans?
Yeah, so we know the ending is set, and that's about it.
Well, not even. Only that some plans were stolen, and the R2 and then Princess Leia has them.
Yeah.
That's all that's set. But we don't know who survives, who dies, how they actually stole the plans, how the plans came to be. This trailer actually gives a little bit more of the plot than I think people needed. The last trailer,
and
was
let's not talk
fine.
about that
Yeah.
plot point. It did give a lot more shape to our main character, for sure, which I thought was great. I was in a car with Joey this morning, and he doesn't watch any trailers, but we were talking about it briefly. I called this, especially given the week in American news that we've had, I called this trailer the audacity of hope. It was very hopeful in the context of a movie that we expect to be tragic. There was lots of conversation about hope and fighting and uniting together.
Right.
Did you walk away with that same vibe too?
High stakes.
Yeah.
I
And
actually think it was a little over the top with that.
The other thing that I liked about this trailer is the thing that's least present in the trailer from the Star Wars universe, the Force.
No, but they talk about it in this trailer.
Very loosely, and the
One
character
line.
it does is not a Jedi.
Well, there's no Jedi in this movie. That's probably why.
We don't
It
know
is
that.
We don't know that. Fine.
It's a Star Wars movie where the Force is not the thing that's the through line.
Right. That's interesting. Yeah. The poster looks great. I'm not a fan of the Darth Vader head in the background. It looks a little cartoony to me.
Kind of looks like Trump hanging out behind Clinton
Hey,
during
we
the debate.
No politics, dude.
That was my favorite line. I think Gary retweeted somebody said that. No, but I think the poster looks okay. I agree with you. The Vader in the background, not the greatest thing ever. But the she looks great in this, like
Felicity,
in the poster especially.
and she has that texture on her face that is supposed to maybe evoke plans, Death Star plans.
Oh, I didn't notice
or
that.
the
possibly?
texture of the Death Star itself. I wondered about that.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. The character I'm most excited about is the droid.
Oh, yeah. Alan Tudyk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Freaking awesome.
Yeah, it looks like a droid with a little attitude. I like that.
Telling you, man, this could be great.
No, it can't surpass 4 and 5. I mean, there's too much nostalgia in the way of it superseding.
If it
those.
surpassed Jedi, that would be amazing.
This is true. All right. Now that we've built up hope for everybody.
Well, we're going to talk a little more about. I just want to talk a little bit more about Star Wars. Yesterday, I was in LA and I visited Prop Store, the people who they do auctions for collectibles and movie memorabilia, and they're currently running a big auction with Phil Tippett. Phil Tippett, creature animator, artist who worked on Star Wars, Starship Troopers, a bunch of films. Most recently, worked with Frank on the Jarek chess set recreation in Force Awakens. Phil is selling a bunch of his collection.
Wow.
So we're talking about maquettes, sculpts, lots of artwork.
RoboCop.
Yeah, he did Ed 209 and Kane. The actual Kane is being sold. The big Kane.
Why is he doing an auction?
I think. Well, one, it's not all his entire collection. I think it's just some stuff that he doesn't want to store and he wants to part with. And two, I think he wants funding for his other projects, for his Mad God, his passion project. So we got to get up close, and we've seen some of these things at Tippett Studio when we visited, but now they were like cleaned up, inventory, got up close with a ton of stuff, flipped through some folios and some binder with like from Jurassic Park, some crazy like script notes, sketches, original sketches from Star Wars.
Is this
for
like
Tauntauns.
Is this like, was he involved with the stop motion early tests for Jurassic Park?
Yeah. Oh yes, the animatics.
Yeah.
You know those? He did the animatics.
Really?
You can find them on YouTube where there was two of them.
You mean before they committed to CG?
Before they committed to CG. Actually, I'm not sure about the timeline here, but he did animatics for the Raptor kitchen scene and also the T-Rex big attack on the two Jeeps scene. And you can find those on YouTube. They're completely done in stop motion. I think they were done, I want to say, after they decided to go with CG as a way for the CG animators to not exactly rotoscope, but use as reference.
Wow, yeah.
But there are like props from those animatics that are a part of this auction. It was just really cool. I think the coolest part isn't the tangible painted props and the maquettes. It was going through the notes and thousands of pages of artwork and production material.
I don't know. The Tauntaun maquettes are pretty cool.
There's a Tauntaun maquette. There's an original Tauntaun sketch of something that doesn't even look like a Tauntaun, but it's one of the ideas that may have been a Tauntaun.
I wonder how many people these will end up going to. Because these are going to be expensive items.
Well, there's a whole range. Like some of the artwork, it's like $50, $100, and
yeah, but it's an auction. You don't know what it's going to be.
You're right, but there's so much of it.
Yeah.
That like I want to get in on some of that Jurassic Park artwork. I know the Star Wars stuff will probably be more difficult to get, but the JP stuff, like
JP. Yeah. Are we calling it JP now?
Looks good though. We'll put a link in the show notes.
Yeah, I think it's just propstore.com/auction. And I also got to chat with Brandon Ellinger, who runs Prop Store. He and two other authors were the ones behind the Ralph McQuarrie book that just got released.
Oh, awesome.
Which is a incredible book. It's a 2-tome, 800-page book that we did a video with him about the research and the going into the archives and taking photos of all and scanning all the original pieces of Ralph McQuarrie artwork that people have never seen before.
All right, we're on a tight timeline, so it's time to zip to the future.
We never heard about your 1-star Uber drive.
It was a terrible driver. Getting back to the airport, I gave myself 2 hours to get from Manhattan to New Jersey. It took 40 minutes to get into the Lincoln Tunnel, and so getting into New Jersey, it was smooth sailing up to the airport until the driver took a wrong turn. Didn't say anything. I was following it, freaking out on my phone, and it took another 10-minute detour because he took a wrong exit. 1 star.
Oh, that feels like an honest mistake.
I have a related tech story. I couldn't get an Uber downtown down at the Bay because it was Fleet Week last weekend, which is when everyone clears out the air, and they fly jets and cool stunts. Couldn't get a ride, so I tried Lyft for the first time.
Yeah.
I was down there with my 2 kids. Lyft driver made it just fine. They came and picked us up, hopped in the car, and perfectly nice guy. But he had like this, 101 BPM, like radio on, like all the techno music. And on comes this song with like this catchy hook that's like, I'm feeling sexual. We should be sexual. And 2 minutes later, this chorus repeats 10 times. My daughter, the 6-year-old, starts singing this song in the back seat. Guy doesn't care. He just
turn it off?
No awareness whatsoever.
Did you ask him to turn it off?
No, but I mean, what am I going to say? Is this appropriate for a 6-year-old? He should know this. And so that was my Lyft experience, my one and only Lyft experience.
Huh.
And now my daughter, whatever.
All right, let's make the easy transition to the Note 7 conversation.
Yeah, the garbage fire that it has been the Note 7 recall now.
I think there's still 200,000 phones out in the wild.
It's not just recall. They've stopped. They've canceled production. Note 7 is gone.
The phone is dead. I don't know when the last time in recent memory a phone this widespread, this expensive, this high in a product has been straight up canceled. Aside from the Amazon Fire Phone.
But that was due to lack of interest.
Sales. Yeah, lack of sales and interest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one, they still don't legitimately know what's wrong.
Right. So to lead up, because this is one of those things that as it developed, people are asking tougher questions. So you had a phone catch on fire while it was charging, and a couple instances happened before Samsung did a software update, which we talked about, which prevented the phone from charging full capacity, and they thought that would be sufficient. Then they did replacements, and the replacements were very slow. They were very slow to get to that point to get phones replaced, and it wasn't a mandatory replacement. It was optional. So people got their replacement phones, and then since then, I think 5 cases of phones have been of replacement phones caught on fire. You're doing a tally now. How many women have come out claiming Donald Trump had harassed them, and how many Samsung phones have caught on fire? They're both at 5 right now. So a couple days ago, Samsung
That's
decided,
a weird way for me to root for the Note 7 to win. I'm not sure.
And the FAA had one of the phones that did catch on fire was on an airplane. It was in storage, and it burned the storage, the carpet area of the airplane where the phone was being stored. The airplane, thankfully, was fine, landed safely.
They evacuated, though.
Did they evacuate?
Yeah, they had to because of the smoke.
So it was before takeoff. On my flight back from New York, they made an announcement on the flight saying, if
they
you
have
have
been for a while.
If Note 7, turn it off, power it off completely down, and
That's got to be an FAA mandate because every airline's doing that.
Yeah.
TSA has been instructed to look for them. Look for the Note 7.
Wow.
In some cases. Yep.
So completely now end of production. The phone is dead. It's like you said, a couple 100,000 phones out there. Samsung's taking a big hit with their expectations on their revenues.
They've made a rebound on the stock market, but they got crushed for a while.
And they had to also send out these bags, these fireproof bags for everyone who has a Note 7.
This is my favorite part. So FedEx, UPS, and the U.S. Postal Service won't accept returns of the Samsung things that go on planes because they're basically forbidden on planes. And so there's a fireproof return kit that has a thermally insulated outer box with a ceramic fiber paper lining with 2 interior boxes so that essentially, even if the interior catches on fire, the exterior might not. I don't know. It's crazy. We don't know if the fireproof box works, by the way.
Jeez. No, we don't. Yeah.
What the sad part about this is, so cell phone recycling is already kind of problematic as it stands in terms of our ability to recycle some of the, precious metals that are inside. And essentially none of these Note 7s or very few of them are getting recycled. Yeah. So the waste that's generated from the Note 7 is pretty incredible.
At huge cost, too, to dispose of them. Yeah. So what a terrible thing. There's some information now about what's been going on with Samsung behind the scenes as they're trying to address this situation.
Is it
And-
literally that dog in the room that's on fire? That GIF?
Basically, because there were reports about when the recall or when the exchange happened, and some of the people with their replacement phones had their phones on fire. Like Samsung accidentally texted one of them with like, "Oh, if he doesn't do anything, let's let this go away." Like they were just pretending it didn't happen until more reports surfaced. And in trying to identify the problem, they have been unable to do so. They had their testers try to recreate the problem, but the issue with their process is they didn't allow, apparently, the testers to communicate with each other because they didn't want in their system emails about the problem. So the whole thing's been a big mess. It's terrible. It sucks. It sucks for everyone. It sucks for everyone who bought a phone. I think they're offering $100 off another Samsung phone.
Wait,
no, thank you.
What are you talking about?
That ain't even remotely enough.
What are you talking about? If I give back my Note 7, I don't get a full I must get a full refund.
No, I think here's what it is. Hold on. Let me read it specifically so I don't get this part wrong. You get refunds along with a $25 credit. That was the initial one. Now you get refunds along with a $100 credit if you get a new Samsung phone.
If you don't switch to iPhone.
Yeah, the $25 credit is if you switch to another brand.
Craziness.
That's pretty weak sauce. I understand there's so many out there that doing much more might be too big of a financial hit. Weak. That's what I have to say, because there's people that were physically injured by this. I'm sure they're probably going to file a lawsuit.
They get more than $25.
Yeah. But at the same time, just terrible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Terrible. Let's go to more optimistic phone news.
Yeah, we didn't have you on the podcast last week, so we didn't go super in depth with the Google Pixel announcement made by Google.
Are you getting this?
I am getting the Pixel, partially because, let's call it what it is. It looks like an iPhone. It's the iPixel. I think design-wise, it does look like an iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
You're moving a lot of eyebrows at
It
me.
just seems like every phone kind of looks like an iPhone now.
No, but the design of this specifically, like they removed like the bump off the last Nexus phone. It has like kind of the rounded edges. It has a very iPhone-esque feel,
Okay.
I think. The only difference is that I think the fingerprint scanner being on the back, which I prefer over on the front. I'm excited about it. Big question mark for me is they made a huge deal that the camera on this has been benchmark and it's the best camera you've seen on a Google phone. That's fine and dandy. I want to see it in real world applications to see how that works. They also fixed the one of the biggest complaints I've had with the Nexus phone is the data transfer to storage, which they've now gone to a different protocol. Now it should be faster. So like any of the problems people have had with cameras saving images quickly should be resolved. Those are all great improvements. It just seems like a faster phone. We'll see how the Snapdragon, I think it's 821 in there, I want to say. I think that processor is great. It looks like a great phone. I haven't gotten my hands on it. Some of the first reviews are coming out right now. When I pre-ordered the Pixel XL, I got the XL because same size as my 6P.
Is that the bigger one?
Yeah.
XL.
Yes, the XL is the bigger one.
You're getting your free Daydream VR
Yes,
headset.
I'm getting a free Daydream along with it. I'm not super high on the Daydream. I think your discussion of it last week was pretty much spot on, but I'm not going to complain about it coming bundled with my Pixel XL.
Not to go back to Samsung, the thing that we forgot to mention last week is that price-wise, the Gear VR is technically $100. I know they offered one free as an option for that, or a watch to people who bought the new Galaxy phones. So in your mind, it's free, but it's still $100.
Yep.
And I think that's probably overpriced.
Well, Daydream's $20 less than that.
Yeah.
We also said it was an RFID or an
NFC.
but it turns out it wasn't.
It's not NFC, okay.
No, someone corrected us.
All right, sorry, Kishore.
Yeah, so I don't have much else to say about the Pixel that outside what I've said. There's nothing revolutionary in it, but at the same time, it seems like Google's like rounding out some of the features. I'm really interested in getting my hands on this idea of a 7.1 operating that's going to be slightly, more geared to us. We can talk about the assistant out the wazoo, but until the assistant is in your hands and in real world situations, it'll be hard to say, how it actually is going to function with it integrated in everything. Now I'm going full bore. I want I ordered the Pixel XL and I got Google Home, which is the product I think I was most excited about from that entire Made by Google presentation.
And you already have an Echo.
I have an Echo, yeah.
Great. I'd like to hear how they compare.
So my hope for this, and again, we got very limited information. The demo itself, they didn't actually bring it on stage. They showed it in a video demo. What I'm excited about is I have a Gmail account. I have like Android devices for a long period of time. Google knows much more about me than Amazon does, and so I'm going to sit them side by side, the Echo and the Home, and really compare if that extra bit of knowledge really comes through. If they're making this bet on Assistant really improving my life, that should be reflected in Home. So while I care about some of the speaker and all of that component, like, is it going to be smart enough to do some predictive tasks, which is where Alexa basically stops right now. And if they can get us there, I think Home will be the runaway monster hit. I mean, the Echo, sorry, I keep saying Alexa. Sorry to all the listeners out there. Yeah. The Echo has already proven the market for that. I mean, that's been a runaway hit.
What type of predictive work do you want her to do?
Already right now, Google on my phone will tell me, like, it's time to leave for X appointment.
Right, but that's when you look at your phone. How do you want a speech assistant to be active?
I would love for a visual cue to pop up. Like, it has color display on the top for, its ring, just like the Echo does. But this has multicolor display. I'd love for them to basically use that, limited ability for it to light up on top if it needs me to know something. I think that's one way to go. I think it can actually interrupt my life like the computer does in Star Trek. Actually say something to me.
You notice the computer only interrupts people in Star Trek when no one else is talking.
Yeah.
maybe they're also prescient in terms of voice recognition and technology. Yeah.
I'll be interested to see how well it ties to, some of the music services and a Chromecast, which they made a big deal about as well.
Yep.
If that's going to make basically my living room much more hands-free, I think that's a great investment. I'm also going to try it in a different room than where my Echo is. So my Echo has lived in my kitchen. It's been great there. It's been a huge changer. But this one I'm going to try out in the living room.
Here's the thing that I like, the potential of the Home that I'm really excited for, is that when you do searches, that's part of your profile. And so for the example I like to use is when I get in the car and want directions, I actually don't search the directions on my phone in the car. Before I leave my desktop, I do a Google Maps search for location. And then when I open Google Maps on my phone in the car, that is immediately the first result because I know it's the last thing I search. It gets the idea that even if it's not designed that way, it gets the idea that, okay, maybe that's some place I'm interested in going in. And so if I can do that with Home, because Echo stores all your searches as well, but that's more for error correction. You can look in
all your queries
in the app and say, was this actually what you're looking for? But it doesn't tie to any other service naturally or things that I use.
Yeah.
So if there are ways in which you can interact with Home just as an off chance, like whether it's movie times, restaurants, or directions or email or something, but then as just like as a starting point to know what your activity is.
Yeah.
And then when you get into your phone or the places where you're out in the world, then those things get pulled up.
Like maybe you could ask it what time the movie theater closes, and then you say, can you send directions to my phone or something like that?
Right. Or if you ask it, what movies are available, and then, when you pull up an app on your phone, you'll have like some movie listings.
Right.
Like it'll just like these kind of pre-searches. Because you use Google and search and Maps and email, Gmail. And so it's already part of your life.
It's interesting that Apple is not even a part of this conversation. I mean, they had Siri before anybody was doing much of anything else, and it's just completely stagnated. People should read Mossberg's article in The Verge this week called "Why Is Siri So Dumb?"
Right,
because it's a real send up and well deserved.
Yeah, and when someone as mainstream as Mossberg wants to complain about Siri, it's gotten to a point where that's
exactly
a big problem.
Because he used to be Apple's PR guy, practically, like the guy they would always put up on the billboard who hailed Apple as being the best of the best when he worked for Wall Street Journal. And so if he's making this kind of comment, they better take a listen.
Yeah. Siri, the people who made Siri spun off another company called Viv, and Samsung bought Viv. So the speculation is that will probably be replacing S Voice in the Galaxy S8 next year.
One last thing from the Google thing that you barely touched on last week that we should talk about is the fact of Google Wi-Fi, the mesh router system, which I think you are kind of excited about.
I'm excited about all these mesh Wi-Fi systems because I love Eero. It has solved my problem.
I installed Amplify 2 days ago. Totally solved my
It's great,
my
right?
home networking
And
issues
the
too.
Google solution is more comparable to that one in price, right? $350.
Yeah, and I'm just really curious if it works.
I'm sure it does.
If it works, then hallelujah. I think it's actually going to be the most reasonable price point because Google has definitely brought in some reasonable hardware pricing in the past. So like, I wouldn't be surprised if their next iteration even goes further down in price because all of these devices, I mean, Pixel XL excluded, which was basically iPhone level price. I mean, Google Home at $129, the Wi-Fi at 300 something for a pack of 3. These are all like fairly reasonable pricing.
I'm a little disappointed that home and Wi-Fi aren't one product because that would be ideal. Because if you're putting 3 things around your house, they might as well be a mesh voice assistant as well.
It's why we talked about OnHub. Why wasn't that home to start with? Maybe just different teams.
I would say the biggest question I have about all of this ecosystem, excluding the phone, is a year from now, are we going to be still talking about these same products, or is there going to be a next iteration and these lose support?
Well, I like what Amazon's already talked about, their next version of Echo, and that's coming out this month, actually, where they're now a mesh network where one will listen to you and only one will respond. And so you'll be able to put the discs throughout your house. They're much cheaper. You can buy them in 6-packs. And throw them throughout your house and just basically talk to the Star Trek computer.
Speaking of Echo, did you get the update this week on Amazon Music Unlimited?
Yeah.
Or see that announcement at least?
Yeah, that's interesting. So they're basically going to release a music streaming competitor to Spotify and Apple Music, which will expand upon the existing Apple streaming service, which everyone in Prime already has. If you belong to Prime, you get 2 million songs for free that you can stream from your Amazon devices, including Alexa. But the new service will have 10 times as many songs, and it will cost $4 if you're just using it over Echo, which is a great deal. $4 a month. If you're not, then it's comparable to the other services, $8 or $10 if you're going to use your phone, based on whether or not you have Prime. And that's, unfortunately, I don't know if I want a second streaming service, but at $4, maybe, because we are often in the kitchen trying to play music that we don't have on Amazon. So it's an interesting idea. I don't understand what they've also announced a second feature to this, which is like Alexa will act as a DJ, where she'll actually introduce songs and tell you facts about them afterwards.
Oh.
I don't know if she's going to make the best DJ.
Wait, is that the role of a DJ, to give you facts about a song afterward?
Yeah, like they come back and they say, that was from 1991's number one album.
You mean like a radio disc jockey, not like a club DJ.
No.
Get ready for the drop, Jeremy.
Right, exactly. So she's not, I don't know if she's that kind of personality, but I don't know. It's interesting. I'm glad that they're doing it. Although I think I use streaming services almost exclusively from my phone, so I don't know how useful it's going to be.
Yeah, I question. I'm not going to pay $4 just for it to be located in my kitchen.
Right. That's the question.
Yeah, that's it. Though with all of this, we have to talk about one key thing: are we going to have enough data for all of this from our internet service provider? Because we got some data caps rolling out. Are we all on Comcast?
Yeah.
For data?
Yeah.
What do you mean? I have a data cap rolling up.
In November, Comcast announced they're rolling out a 1 terabyte data usage cap in, it's not a cap, but essentially they're going to start billing you more in our market here.
Do I have a cap now?
No.
Really?
Now, 1 terabyte sounds like a lot. I wonder, I actually don't know how much I use. Do either of you know how much you use?
You can check. I think I'm in the couple hundred gigs. I don't think I'm going to get up to a terabyte. Although, it is precedent because we never thought we'd use all of Gmail storage, and now I pay for Gmail because
me too.
You just run out of storage over time.
So I have to say though that what irritates me about this, and I think what irritates most people, is that you're not paying for the right thing. They're basically making heavy data users pay extra, but the data costs them basically the same. It's not like you're paying for the congestion or peak usage, which actually causes them traffic problems, because like the data itself is the same whether it's
That's
3
interesting.
a.m.
Yeah, so it should be like some cities have electronic rates that fluctuate throughout the day. So,
That's right.
I like your thinking.
So that's what irritates the snot out of me about this, is it just is a money grab. It's not it's not one that's actually going to improve service for everyone else. Because if you had a system where Netflix was cheaper basically at 9 o'clock, like watching streaming was slightly cheaper at 9 o'clock than it was at 6.
No, that's not net neutrality.
No, I know it's not net neutrality, but I'm just giving like a what if scenario if there was a congestion model.
Yeah, it's like the HOV lane. It's only for certain hours.
All right, fine.
I don't like it. But we're getting fiber eventually here, right? I mean, why are they doing this now? It seems like they should, they're on the defensive with Google and fiber companies rolling in.
I mean, there is a fiber optic provider for the area that Norm and I live in the city.
Right.
But I haven't heard great things about it yet.
Oh, really?
It hasn't been rolled out to enough customers to feel like you have total confidence in it.
Speaking of web traffic and data, we didn't talk about Plex Cloud either, which was
What's Plex Cloud?
a couple weeks ago, end of September. You know how the way you can run Plex today, you build a NAS at home, you put your terabytes of media on it, and you can run a server on that computer, that NAS, that then distributes over your bandwidth to any device. And you can pay for, I believe, the Plex Pass that gives you access on all your devices for encoding and
So you can like download onto your iPad for use on a plane,
Exactly,
or you can
exactly.
stream to wherever you are. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a new Plex Cloud service that's partnered or using AWS, Amazon Web Services. So you pay for Amazon Drive, $60 a year for unlimited storage, and you tie that with your Plex Pass, and then you can run the Plex Cloud software on your Amazon Drive and not have to have a NAS at home.
Wait a minute. So you don't pay Plex?
You do pay Plex your $5 a month to use a Plex Pass,
So it's still just $5 for this additional feature.
but $60 a year for Amazon
Amazon.
Drive. And so it's possible because web storage is so cheap now that you basically at $60, as long as your bandwidth is high enough and the encoding is all done, so it's not even that high bandwidth, then you can get all your media uploaded to Amazon and then stream it down to any device.
It's $60 for unlimited space.
$60 for unlimited storage for a year.
And do you get to put other stuff up there? Non-media stuff?
I believe you. Yeah.
Oh,
I believe when
that's actually not bad.
Yeah.
Huh. I don't want to put it on Amazon Drive. That's the thing. That service. That's the wrong service provider.
Why?
Well, because I'd so much rather it be Google Drive,
Why?
Or
which has
Dropbox or
additional functionality. Because Amazon Drive doesn't have like other features. Like Dropbox has the easiest sharing capabilities.
Yeah.
Google Drive has the additional functionality of all of the suite of apps on top of it.
Maybe that's why it doesn't cost that much, because they figured they'd cut down on the bandwidth cost if you're not
Amazon
sharing it.
Amazon's willing to subsidize, customer acquisition.
Yeah, maybe.
Speaking of customer acquisition, Amazon is expanding to a place I never thought I would see:
Really?
brick and mortar grocery stores.
The Amazon supermarket?
Amazon Grocery are
Wait.
opening up brick and mortar stores.
Like they're going to have a little quadrant in existing grocery stores?
They're
Pop up?
going to open up their own
Why?
grocery store.
What's the point?
Apparently, they're going to use these as hubs for delivery for Amazon Fresh.
Yeah.
And they said, well, if we're going to have these locations already where shoppers are going through, like our shoppers are going through to deliver items, could we open them up to
Jeez.
people just to come in and buy things as well?
I wonder, does that Does this lead to them opening up their warehouses for people to explore like regular items too? That would
I
be
don't
interesting,
know.
like Costco.
Do either of you have Amazon Fresh? Because they just changed their pricing
No.
to. It used to be $299 a year, which is really a exceptional amount of money, I thought. And now it's down to $15 a month, which is still $180 a year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not cheap, but it's $180 a year plus $99 membership fee. So it's like close to the same price.
What does
but
it get you?
Well, if it's monthly versus a yearly thing, you get what is the service
Yeah.
get you? The service gets you, you get free delivery and shopping from Amazon Fresh.
Okay, but all
That's
right.
it.
What do you mean free shopping?
Not free. Like you can't order from Amazon Fresh otherwise. I don't
Right.
think.
That's just odd. Why do I need a membership to order from Amazon Fresh? I mean, the Prime Now thing is completely included in Prime. That's 2-hour delivery for anything that they have.
Well, it's just like Google Shopping Express. You have to have a subscription service to get the convenience of buying things. And even Amazon Prime, there is a fee.
Prime Now, you
Or
mean?
Prime Now, there's a fee for this.
And then
Same
you're
hour
supposed
shipping.
to tip too.
Yeah.
Which increases the cost pretty significantly.
There's not a fee. There's a minimum amount.
Minimum amount. But
Yeah.
then also tip. The tip is
Right.
the fee. We consider that.
I don't know. Seems like it should be free. I mean, not free, but included in Prime membership.
No, I understand what you mean, but the Prime membership is relatively cheap. If they're going to operate grocery stores where you have to throw away a lot of product, I understand why there's a separate fee for Amazon Fresh.
But presumably, I don't need even a Prime membership to go shop there. Like, I could just walk in if it's a grocery store.
Yeah, I don't know. I would think they make it membership like Costco.
With produce?
Sure.
All right.
Why not?
Whatever. I don't understand the future.
All right. Well, there is one last story we have about the future, and it's the White House Frontiers is happening right now. The White House is hosting basically a conference on frontiers in research that's largely focused on AI. And I don't know if you saw that this week, but the president basically guest edited an edition of Wired, and he sat down with Scott Dadich and Joy Ito, who heads MIT Media Lab, for a long-ranging discussion, and they talked a lot about AI. And it was fascinating what the president said about this. It showed a lot of nuance in his understanding.
It's not a video, is it?
It is. There is a video of it.
I'm watching this.
The nuance he said was, and this is really backed by what has been coming out of Media Lab, is this idea of we can program AI to make to be smart, to do the right thing, but where is it getting its value system? And the example I heard them discuss in an article was the idea: if we have these autonomous vehicles that are going to swerve to avoid the accident, this is the trolley problem, and it has to essentially take a life to save a life. How does it making those decisions? How are we embedding morality into the AI? And that's a place we're not at yet.
Needs to watch Star Trek too.
He did talk about Star Trek, and the president talked about his joy of watching Star Trek because of how hopeful it is. It's great. It's great. I'll definitely put a link in there. But as part of all of this, they're having a conference on it. The White House had announced new funding for AI research in the country.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. But what I was deeply, deeply impressed with his grasp of the limitations of AI, but its potential for the future and where those gaps exist right now. And it wasn't just the people don't understand what AI is, which has dominated a lot of the conversation, but about how we're developing AI and how groups of research organizations and the government need to work together to actually bring it to fruition in a way that's going to be useful.
All right, that concludes technology news for this week, and I want to use this time to thank the sponsor of this week's episode, and that's Dollar Shave Club. They offer products shipped to you that give you fantastic shaves. You may have seen their razors that they advertise, but what you probably don't know is that they have plenty of other amazing products that have great quality to make you look and smell like $1,000,000. Dollar Shave Club's got stuff for your hair, for your face, and for your underparts, for everywhere to keep you feeling and looking fresh. And once you're in the club, you'll see they have the best grooming products on the market and also affordable. So right now is your chance to join in. And if you're not a member, you never joined, now's the time. Get your first month of razors for free. Just pay shipping. It's only a few bucks. So join today. Go to dollarshaveclub.com/test. That's dollarshaveclub.com/test. And now it's time for...
The VR Minute. Virtual reality this week.
No science this week.
Yeah, we're skipping Moment of Science, but there's plenty to talk about in VR land.
I thought we talked about all the VR last week.
Yeah.
All of the VR.
Not
How can
even
there
close.
be more VR this week?
It comes in little hurricanes of VR.
My goodness.
Well, let's start with the little thing. Did you order a Touch?
yes.
I ordered my Touch.
I ordered it.
You-
I did. Although speaking for the how many thousand Kickstarter backers were there? Speaking for the Kickstarter backers, we did not get our priority place in line. Now, I'm not complaining because we got a free Rift. I'm not complaining, but we were told we would have a priority place in line, and we didn't get one, and that's okay. That's okay. I'm just saying we didn't get one.
I have to say the process was smoother, at least. So that leaves me hopeful, question mark, for December 6th. We'll see how it works out.
You were given a 2-week chip window, like I was, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they said they would have enough for everyone who pre-ordered to get them in December,
Sounds great.
which is, yeah. So before we talk about more touch controllers and other thing going on with Steam VR, it is also the launch of PSVR. Officially, October 13th.
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Today.
Today for us, yesterday for you listening to this podcast. It's on sale. People who've pre-ordered should be getting theirs shipped, and I'm really curious to what the reception is going to be.
Me too.
From the mainstream gamer,
Yeah.
or the quote-unquote core gamer with PS4s.
People who have not otherwise tried VR.
That's right.
I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be a great reception.
Have you been playing a lot?
Of PSVR?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say a lot, but I have been using it. I have. Since we recorded our tested review, the Playroom VR was released, which is it's like the bundle title. It's the free thing everybody gets, and it's a blast. It's the only title available that has. Is it called asynchronous play?
Asymmetrical.
Asymmetrical, where there's something different on the TV than the person in VR sees. And it's totally enjoyable. 4 people can sit on the couch. You can have a whole party because not everyone even needs a controller for half these games. But then they watch the TV and they have to, in some games, help the person in VR to identify, for instance, which bandit to shoot in the saloon, or they have to work against him in some of the other controller-based games. It's a blast.
And the people on the couch said that this was a good experience.
Oh,
Oh,
when we played it,
it's
I was
fun.
on the person on the couch, or Jeremy was the person on the couch, and I think it feels like a family game. Like the saloon game you're
Party
talking
game.
about doesn't even require the other players to have controllers.
Right.
They're just looking at the TV, and as the player wearing the headset, you don't even need the move controllers. You're using the DualShock as your action controller, as your pistol in this case. Now, what we did notice though is for this type of asymmetrical play, so any other PS4 game, when it comes or for PSVR game, when it streams to the breakout box, what it sends to you wearing the PSVR and the TV is essentially the same image. The TV, it's a slightly lower field of view, but you're getting almost exactly the same thing. The asymmetrical play, what the person on the couch is seeing is sometimes completely different. I may see you from a third person, or I'm playing a whole different character, and so they're rendering a whole lot more. We did notice that there's image compression, so it is H.264 being compressed before piped to the TV.
Right.
And at some places you can see the compression. Latency didn't seem to be a problem. It wasn't fast, quick response games, but it worked.
Yeah.
It totally worked.
It is interesting that the TV is not getting a real-time uncompressed signal from the PlayStation. They're getting a movie, which
That's cool.
You'd never even know until you see the compression artifacts. But it's interesting.
Thanks for inviting me over, by the way.
Oh.
Oh yeah, I made it awkward. I'll sit on the couch and watch.
You know, while your kids are going to bed, three adult dudes playing PSVR, playing some Playroom VR.
You two over, they'd never get sleep because they want to ask you questions about Marvel.
Oh, yes, I owe you that. What else is going on besides PSVR coming out?
So going on this week, still going on right now, is Valve's Steam Dev Days.
This is a no press event, right? So we don't entirely know what's going on,
Well,
but we have ideas.
People are tweeting. People are live. Some people are live blogging. There's related to PSVR, I guess, was the announcement that Steam is going to get official support for the PlayStation controller, DualShock controller, in Steam, which is great. And on the VR side, gosh, where to begin? Content-wise, they said they're not going to announce a new experience,
A Valve experience.
But they would have something to say next year.
And crucially, you won't be disappointed.
Whoa, that's a promise.
That's awesome.
Are we talking about what we were talking about?
I think Half-Life 3 has been announced.
No. No. First of all, it wasn't an announcement of any sorts, and I don't know how you can jump to Half-Life 3. My speculation is that it's Portal themed, because that's what
that would make more sense in VR.
Is what they've been messing with.
Half-Life has always introduced innovations, and I think clearly VR is the next one.
I thought if they're going to introduce Half-Life 3, it would be like a year-long scavenger hunt to figure it out. It would be some epic thing.
Well, technically, Half-Life and Portal are the same universe.
Oh,
so
technically? Okay.
There's no reason it couldn't be
That's
a
true.
little column A, little column B.
That's right.
All right, okay. So we have
Bearing the lead here, I think.
that announcement. What's your lead?
The controller.
Yeah, I think the controller.
It's a very prototypical controller, but it looks a lot like the Touch. It wraps around your hand, and you hold it more in a grip pose. And it's the same sensor tech.
So this is we're talking about a surprise announcement. In discussing some of the things that are coming up for Steam VR, for the HTC Vive, they said that people are speculating whether there'll be like a headset redesign or like a readjusted strap, like whether it'll have built-in headphones, stuff like that. But like they also then just drop, we are continually working on new input devices.
Well, they had them there.
And they had them there for people to use to play certain games. And Call of the Starseed, which is getting these kind of motion controls, had them. And the best way to describe them, because I wouldn't say they're like Touch at all.
Well, compared to the existing Vive ones, they look like Touch.
So only in that the Vive, that we've talked about how the Vive controllers and even the Move controllers are things that you hold, wands that you hold. And even to some extent, you're holding the Oculus Touch like you would, the one edge of the nunchuck of a Wiimote, right?
Right.
You're gripping something. And when you loosen up your fingers and your hand, you get the poses and the hand gestures. This seems to be completely different in that it allows you to wear it without having to grip anything.
That's right. You can release all of your fingers, and it remains on your hand because it's strapped to the inner part of your hand, in between your thumb and pointer finger.
It's like there are two parts to it. It seems to be a wristband that's wrapped around your wrist, so you can't throw it.
Oh, that's good.
But then there's also a clamp, like a soft clamp, between your outer hand and going between, like you said, your index finger and your thumb. And what sits in the cup of your hand is then what looks like your Wii Nunchuck.
It does look like a Wii Nunchuck, yeah.
With your touchpad on the top, your Steam Pad touchpad on the top, trigger, and then also presumably capacitive sensors to know when you're gripping this or when you're not gripping it. So
yep, and 3 tactile buttons.
And 3 buttons. So the huge advantage of this is that you can actually let go of things in VR by letting go of a thing in the real world. Now,
that's interesting, right? So you could grab something by actually
grabbing, or throw a ball by actually releasing the grip. And even with momentum, because it's strapped to your wrist, and the clamp is supposed to be strong enough that you can actually release completely free.
Which is what people want to do, which is why controllers are ending up in people's TVs and walls.
That's right. Now, we know from our use with Oculus Touch and games like Unspoken, when you're throwing fireballs, to throw a fireball, you're just releasing a trigger.
Yeah.
And even though you're still gripping the controller, I think it's still convincing enough to feel like you're throwing.
Right.
The thing that we don't know is what psychological effect you'll have, whether it's even more immersive and even more hand presence, if you actually have the ability to release completely.
I'm going to say yes. Because
I think yes also.
That's the intuitive thing people want to do, and you have to learn to hold with the lower fingers with the Touch.
This is weird to describe. There are a couple videos online where you can actually see it in action.
Mm-hmm.
So check it out, because that whole like that gripping piece you're talking about, I think was, at least for me, really hard to grasp just by looking at the videos, or at the pictures. But when you saw the video in action, you can kind of see how that would be a more comfortable, natural.
Well, just think about like how it's almost as if there was something attached to just your wrist, and they're attaching it, clamping it to your hand, where like pistols, think of a pistol grip that you don't need to hold, that's just attached to your wrist that you can release completely or grab. And it has sensors to know that whether you're actually touching it or not touching it. Now, it doesn't look like there are capacitive sensors for individual fingers, aside from your trigger, grabbing, not grabbing, and thumb, which may be enough. So we're actually losing some parity here with the touch controllers for developers to make games that have intricate gestures on one and not so much on the other. What's also interesting is that at Oculus Connect, there was a whole panel discussion. It's on YouTube now, talking about the development of the touch controllers. And they showed this slide that had photos of all their prototypes, and many of their prototypes for touch, one of which used something similar to this, like this clamping mechanism where your hand would actually need to hold on to a physical thing. And they clearly chose something different with touch, with their Half Moon prototype. And the same idea on the Valve side, Alan Yates has said in the past that they've experimented with something like touch. They called it their Cutlass controllers, but yet they went with the wand-style controller for the launch of Vive, and now are moving to this.
They also announced an investment in a company that's putting a lot of research into inside-out tracking for VR headsets.
Mm-hmm.
And with the Oculus prototype that you tried, which we didn't mention, the inside-out prototype, you might imagine that that's going to be a part of the next Rift, if not, just this next wireless Gear VR kind of thing. So I wonder at what point we're not going to need outside-in trackers anymore, or if that will always be necessary for handheld devices. Because I could see how a headset could track itself, but the field of view wouldn't necessarily cover your hands in all cases.
Well, it depends, because if you put Leap Motion or something like that on front of a headset.
Yep, but it would have to be within the field of view.
Right. So how many experiences require your hands to be tracked accurately behind your back?
Well, I don't know. Like, imagine you're playing Space Pirate Trainer and your shield is over to your left while you're firing at your right.
Very good point. Or if you're playing some type of competitive game and you're literally putting your hands behind your back to hide what you're doing with your hands.
So it might be that the outside trackers, or in the case of Vive, the lighthouses might be here for a while. And by the way, they announced a new lighthouse coming next year. Well, they didn't announce it.
Well,
but
they showed a progression of lighthouse designs
with 2017.
They called Batman, Robin.
That's right.
Batman, Robin, and something else.
Yeah, Girl Boy or something like that.
Yeah, something smaller potentially. The other question is, why don't you? I mean, this seems to be a convergence toward gloves, the things that's seamless with your hands and can track where your fingers are. But the advantage of this is that you have these static spots where the photodiodes are, photosensors are, to see the lasers coming from the tracking beacons. But also you get haptic feedback is also an important thing.
Right. Yes. Well, they have to work that into gloves eventually too.
Mm-hmm.
It's all sci-fi at this point.
Yeah.
Do you believe some of the estimates coming out of this, that they're adding 1,000 new VR users a day? That was the other big announcement. They gave some initial data that would indicate how many sales are happening.
What does that mean?
That means they might have 300,000 Vives out in the wild.
Is it new VR or new Vive?
No,
users?
they said 1,000 new VR users are logging on to Steam every day.
But I mean, you can also use Steam VR with the Oculus.
I guess so.
Yeah.
But since sales have been disappointing across both platforms, I think they haven't hit initial targets. I wonder if that's true.
I don't know. It'll be an interesting holiday. It'll be interesting to see if PSVR sells out or what kind of demand there's for it.
All right. Anything else? VR.
There's so many. I finally feel like there's a flood of games coming in with the PSVR launch.
Holiday.
With the holiday, with like some of the games that were previously announced for the Rift at launch are now finally coming out.
And
Eagle
with
Flight's coming out.
And with Touch app coming out in December, there's like 30 games from Oculus alone.
Yeah, I love that. Before we were able to just have a handle on every single VR experience out there. Everything seemed new. Now it seems like a real buffet of content.
Do you want to recap anything else from Connect? We did that a couple times, and there's a flurry of videos coming out on Tested right now.
Yeah.
But I think the major thing was this new Inside Out headset that I didn't get to see. Norm was taken behind a closed door by himself.
Yep.
And it was pretty cool. I mean, if they've managed to do this inside out tracking using we don't have any information. They wouldn't say, but it looked like 4 cameras are on the headset itself. Was able to very quickly ascertain the environment and provide tracking. He still had a Guardian pop up, which is like a chaperone, so he couldn't go past a certain point in the room. But the fact that it even knew where that was or knew he was approaching it is very interesting.
I'm surprised you say that. Not because of that development, but you made it sound like Lone Echo was the big thing that you walked away from.
Lone Echo, for me, because I got to see it. I mean, I didn't get to see what Norm saw, but I think Norm liked Lone Echo too.
I think Lone Echo still is the winner of show, even considering Santa Cruz.
Lone Echo is a game that has no release date yet, but it is for touch, and it is amazing. It is a space game with real translation or real movement through the world, no teleporting. You're in 0G, and you're grabbing the environment and pulling the environment so that you thrust yourself through, then you let go and you float.
Your video on Lone Echo is up, right?
Yeah.
And the multiplayer is the best experience I've ever had in VR, the most fun I've ever had. And it's like it's a disc game where you're throwing in the 0G environment like a Ender's Game Danger Room. Is that what they called it? War Room? And you're throwing the disc to your compadres, and they're trying to throw it into the enemy goal, and the enemies are trying to hit you in the head to stun you. And it's unreal. The feeling of floating through this space and not getting motion sick, because they nailed that. They don't let you rotate in any way, shape, or form. You have to turn your body if you want to turn around. Is just awesome. It's awesome. You float at a constant rate. There's no deceleration to make you woozy. You stop by grabbing things, and then you propel yourself. You can propel yourself off moving players. Unreal.
That's great. Can't wait to test that out. We're short on time this week. Should we go on?
Yes, let's.
Testing this week. Hey, what have you guys been testing?
Oh, gosh.
Now, Kishore, you talked about Amplify.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. I'm only a day in, so we got to give it some time to see how it works. But, man, that Amplify, I got the HD version. I have so much more coverage in my house.
Full bars everywhere?
Just pretty much everywhere. I think in the very, very back of my house,
Yeah.
I'm at like 1 bar down.
How's the setup process?
It took me, 10 minutes. It took me a lot longer to like do my OCD cable management than it did to actually plug it in and set it up. Basically, download the app, plug it in, get it set up. I'd like having the app to monitor it. You have to be connected to the Wi-Fi network for the app to actually work, so I can't monitor it from here. But outside of that, it's just been wonderful so far. And I haven't really had any drops and increase in coverage. It even has gotten into my backyard where I've never had Wi-Fi before.
Rock on.
Wow.
I finally placed my order for a Chevy Bolt. I had my money down, but now I've actually assigned a number, and I got all my options that I wanted. Should be here possibly in 6 weeks.
Wow, that's so soon.
Before the end of the year.
I'm super excited. Super
Amazing.
excited. So I haven't been testing that, but I've been excited about it.
You have those headphones,
Well,
or earbuds.
yeah, but
You
I already talked
mentioned.
about those.
Okay. Well, then I have headphones. I've been using the Jabra Moves. They were released last year. I needed a new pair of headphones, Bluetooth headphones for the iPhone, and also for travel, and they sound amazing. The one problem I have with them is that if you are listening to music connected over Bluetooth with your iPhone 6S or 7, and then you're also using Wi-Fi or browsing other apps and browsing the web, you do get occasional jumps in the audio connection.
That happens almost every Bluetooth headphone set.
So far unavoidable.
That's about it for me. I owe everyone a Jewel review. That'll come soon.
Okay.
Hold on, I think an embargo just went up. I think I can talk about.
Oh.
Give me 1 second.
Interesting.
I know the dates are. Oh, our internet's so slow. Should I say it? You know what? I think I'm not gonna
Oh,
say it.
what?
Such a tease. That's
That
so.
was such a terrible tease.
All right, no, I can't say it. Reviews going up tomorrow for the hover camera, which is the other thing I've been testing. This is a foldable drone that's extremely lightweight and has subject tracking. So there's a built-in ARM processor in there, and you carry it around, pop in the battery.
It looks pretty small. It's like 4 computer fans.
Yes, basically it looks like 4 big, 4 120 millimeter computer fans. It's all guarded props. Unfold it, press the power button, and connect to your phone, and then it's supposed to be able to track you as you walk around indoors and outdoors. Does not perform great at all. Image quality I think is lacking, and the tracking, unless you're in a perfectly low and zero wind and perfect lighting situation, it's
You'll see it
not
try to
great.
track me in the video. It did not go over well.
Yeah, so you watch the video tomorrow. We have a lot of sample footage of it kind of failing. So
It's cute though.
I think the great thing I think about it is I like that form factor a lot, and I
Yeah.
like how easy it is to launch. You basically just press a button, hold it above the ground, press a button, and it stays there. That's something I think drones of this size could use going forward, but software improvements definitely needed.
Awesome.
Tested live show coming up. Buy your tickets.
Yeah.
This should be fun. We have Jeremy's doing a segment this year.
Yep.
He's leading a segment that's going to be very Jeremy, let's just say. It's in your wheelhouse of things you're super interested in.
Yep.
Norm is going to certainly be involved in multiple segments, including recapping some of the stuff from the Arctic.
That's right.
Which is great because a lot of that footage I don't think has been shown yet.
No, we haven't had too much time to go through all the good stuff.
And somehow I have a couple segments in the show. Not somehow, I kind of put myself in it, so it'll be fine. And then we have a few surprises. We're working on a really special edition of, it's like a Still Untitled on steroids.
Mm-hmm.
And we did some legwork on it earlier this week, and it turned out incredible. Yeah,
That
so
sounds fun.
I'm really excited about that. Testedjourneys.eventbrite.com, and you can find the link on the website.
Yeah, hope to see you there.
All right.
And I think that's it for this week. Thank you guys for joining us over the internet and in person, Jeremy and Kishore. You can, of course, find Jeremy at Jerware on Twitter and Kishore at ScienceKish on Twitter, not counting their followers at the moment. Not doing
I've
comparison.
plateaued.
Oh, okay. And you can find me at Enchan and, of course, all of our stuff on YouTube at tested.com or youtube.com/testedcom or just tested.com. But we'll see you next week. And until next time, here's an outro from a lovely listener, one of you guys.
Oh, great.
The internet's not working.
I had it queued up. I hit play and now.
Wait, hi there. Didn't see you there. Tested.
Is this as bad as I'm not getting anything. I don't know what's wrong with the audio. Oh, maybe I'm muted. Okay.
Tested.
Test it. Bye.